Welcome to For Your Amusement, a theme park podcast that aims to exhaustively evaluate the world's most popular theme park attractions to determine if they are world class. I'm Ryan Bergara.
I'm Byron Marin.
And for this episode's featured attraction, we put on our best puppy eyes in hopes that we get adopted, so we can discuss the secret life of pets off the leash at Universal Studios Hollywood in California. And as always, go ahead and like and subscribe if you're watching on youtube.com/watcherpodcasts, or subscribe and rate the podcast 5 stars if you're just listening to this bad boy. And hey, tell a friend. It'll help keep these puppies alive.
Cue the Sarah McLachlan.
Yeah, that's right. In the arms of an angel. And I forget what else she...
That's all good. You tried.
Why are we covering this, Byron? There's no guest today, so why did we choose Secret Life of Pets?
You know, this is a ride that I don't feel like is covered enough. Yes, it is relatively new.
Very new.
Even when I went into the history for this ride, there's not that much information that's like at the forefront of the internet.
You know what it is it came out during the
under
pandemic.
the radar.
Under the radar for the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to open when the pandemic essentially started. And then because of that, I feel like...
I think it was supposed to open on like the day that they shut it down. They ended up like shutting it down, or at least the pass holder previews.
Yes.
And then I think everyone was just so excited for the parks in themselves to be open that there wasn't like a big publicity. I mean, I didn't notice like much advertising for this ride, or I don't know. I just feel like it really went under the radar over the course of 2020.
I think it's underappreciated, and I think this ride is a banger. That's a spoiler alert up top. But let's get into some first impressions. Byron, what was your first impression of this ride? Which is funny because we rode this together.
Yeah, we did. This would have been April 17th of 2021. I know it's April 17th because it reopened on April 15th to pass holders, then to the public April 16th, and then Saturday, April 17th was our first day. And I had gotten an annual pass online that week. I was so excited to get back to theme parks.
I was completely blown away by this ride the first time I got on it. And I'm not saying that in a facetious way. I really was not expecting a lot. And I think that actually plays into why it's not talked about, because this is of the era of when Universal has released a lot of kid attractions that are screen-based. And, you know, they are great for the kids, but like for adults, you're like, okay, this is not much is going on here for me to feast on visually. So I was expecting very much something like that.
Did you knew this ride existed before going into the park that day, right?
I did.
I did not.
Oh, I was super
You
excited.
told me, oh yeah, we're going to get on the Secret Life of Pets ride. And I checked the app and I'm like,
Slop. We're going to get on Slop today. I can't wait to get my sloppy on. And I was pretty stoked because I actually enjoy these films. I love little pets. I love my little furry guys. I actually have a pet now. I did not when I first got on this ride. My little Vinny man. His name is Vinny.
Not so little.
No, he's not little. He's a large guy now. Or as some people know him, because he's now potty trained, the pee-pee man.
The pee-pee man.
Is also what I call him.
And he doesn't realize how big he is.
No, he does not realize how big he is yet. Anyways, I love pets. So Secret Life of Pets really appealed to me. I think it's a cute film. And this ride is actually right next to Despicable Me Minion Mayhem, which, as you know, is a screen-based attraction and not great. So I really did have that as my expectations. And then you get in this ride and you see the queue. You see the beautifully rendered world that is, you actually move through. It's not a screen-based attraction. In fact, it's a throwback to how dark rides used to be made, you know, harkening back to Fantasyland and Disneyland. And I was just blown away because it's like a modern take on that. And I loved it. I was enamored by it. And I wish more people talked about it. I think people think it's just another screen-based attraction. They don't realize how hard they went on this ride and with the character design and the scenes. And I just was very, very surprised by it. It took me by surprise. That's what it means when you're surprised by something. It took you by surprise. That's how you speak English. And that's how surprised I was by this ride, is that I forgot how to speak English. But no, an incredibly cute ride, and I'm happy we're talking about it finally.
It's great. It's a little gem. I will admit, I had mostly positive feelings when getting off this ride for the first time, but my initial first impression was like a little let down.
Careful.
Because and I'm sure we'll follow up with this later, is they really strap you in and make you feel like you're going to go move around a shit ton.
That's
or
true.
Like do some crazy motions,
They do have roller coaster type.
It's a roller coaster
restraints.
type lap bar.
Yeah.
And they really check it. And you're like, oh, what's this thing going to do? And then it turns out it's a modern take on a slow moving Omni mover ride.
To be fair, they do that in Mickey and Minnie as well. Granted, you do move a little bit faster in Mickey and Minnie.
That thing jiggles you around. It's got
a jiggler.
fast pace. This thing is very slow.
Jiggler sounds like the rejected name of a Batman villain.
I was just thinking about that dance scene. Like, I don't know
it's the jiggler.
It's shimmy. I don't know. The shimmy. I don't. It's got more rapid pacing on Mickey Minnie, but for this one, I was enamored with just seeing animatronics. So it was like the first time I saw like these wonderfully done animatronics in a Universal ride.
Yeah.
It just like filled me with so much hope for what they could do in the future and it was like an indication to me like, oh, they've learned.
Exactly. This to me was the ultimate representation of they are course correcting here. They realize the folly of their past and they are now moving into the future with what people actually want. People get screens at home. They don't need that in a theme park as well. They want to be transported into immersive environments where they could physically see and feel like at least that they could touch these animals. And it's great. Let's go ahead and toss to some history now, Byron.
All right. July 8th of 2016, Universal Pictures releases The Secret Life of Pets.
Nice.
But nearly a month prior to the release of the Illumination-produced animated film, NBC CEO at the time, Steve Burke, confirmed on an investor call that an attraction based on the upcoming film was already in the works, stating, "If the film doesn't do as well as I think, it will be painful."
It would be extremely
painful.
Bane. It's Bane.
Rumors for the attraction quickly began making their rounds through the theme park enthusiast forums, leaving many to speculate that a trackless dark ride based on a film that had not even been released could be making its way to Universal's Islands of Adventure. They
pulled a Jurassic Park, kind of. Jurassic Park developing the ride before the film. In a way. I mean, I guess the film had come out, right? And so they...
Well, same with Waterworld. They're developing, and I guess that's the thing is it's a risk, but then again, and I heard this, it might have been in the same theme park insider article that I read where I got the quote from Steve Burke. Like the challenge is, especially when you're dealing with kids content, is if you develop the ride after it's released and it takes years to get this ride off the ground and into the park, the kids that are initially seeing this in theaters have potentially grown out of it.
Gotcha. Yeah, that is a risk.
And whoever wrote this article, it might have been Robert Niles from Theme Park Insider, but he mentioned that it was either his kid or a kid he knew was obsessed with the Cars film when it came out in 2007. But by the time he went to Cars Land in 2012, when it opened, he wasn't as infatuated with the Cars franchise.
And I actually touch on this a little bit later in my goods when we get to the good and the bad later in the podcast. But I will say the one thing that's great about this ride and this IP is you don't have to love or even know the IP to enjoy this ride.
Oh, no. And that's why I made it a point I thought about watching it this week because I still haven't seen Secret Life of Pets.
Yeah, it's great.
And I'm glad that you have because you get that take. Because from my perspective, I'm like, I don't think I have not seen this film, and yet everything works on a story basis.
You walk up to someone, hey, you like cute little pets?
Now,
yeah, I do. Well, get on this ride. You could see a bunch of them. And that's never going to age poorly. Everyone's always going to love cute little doggies. And that's exactly what this ride is. It delivers. And it's smart. If anything, if you're going to take a bet on something that, you don't need any prior knowledge of the IP to enjoy it, or if the IP has passed its time, you're still going to enjoy this ride. I don't know if you could say that for the Minions, who I already find grating.
But yeah, in regards to Islands of Adventure, that didn't happen over there. But you know what? No complaining over there. You got Velocicoaster, you got your Hagrids.
That's right. Let us have our slop in peace.
We got the juicy exclusive.
The juicy
Secret Life of Pets. But back to the history. July 2018, the Globe Theater at Universal Studios Hollywood's upper lot gets demolished, and work begins on what was quickly beginning to look like a new show building. I don't know if you know a lot about the Globe Theater.
I do. Fun fact. the Globe Theater was where I had, I think, senior prom.
Whoa.
In high school.
Okay. Because I knew it was like very big for like corporate event space, but that's cool that they did it for like for younger crowds too.
Or was that my junior prom? I can't recall. One of my proms was at the Globe Theater.
This was not like a thing for park guests, by the way. Like this was like, it's like private event space. I think it could hold over 700 people at a time. This was the Globe Theater wasn't like something you could go and like watch stuff at. Like if you went to the park.
Yeah. I'm just remembering a really embarrassing memory from that prom. It's pretty rough.
You want to say it?
Not really.
All right.
I don't want to say it. I hadn't thought about that in a long time, and I was like, oh damn.
So where the Globe
that was humiliating.
Where the Globe building exists, adjacent to where Despicable Me, Minion Mayhem exists and still exists. That's where this construction takes place. Like there wasn't a lot online following this construction until I stumbled upon a vlogger by the name of Sean Allen, who I'm assuming was an employee of Universal because he mentioned in his like vlogs that he actually worked one shift of an event at the Globe Theater.
Oh, interesting.
But he put together this
I wonder if it was my prom.
prom.
He probably saw what happened to me too and was like,
I don't know if he's
rough.
been there. I don't know how many years he's been there, but he strung together this wonderful like date stamped coverage spanning the construction.
Oh, wow.
Of this attraction. So I was able to notice that by January of 2019, the building was taking shape. It was very evident to park guests that an entirely new show building was beginning to take shape. Like they knocked everything down.
I do remember
completely demoed. And on April 10th of 2019, Universal holds a press release when at the time president of Universal Studios Hollywood's Karen Irwin officially announced The Secret Life of Pets Off the Leash. Karen would go on to state that the attraction will capture the essence of the popular film and invite our guests to live vicariously through some of their favorite characters as they embark on a one-of-a-kind experience only available at Universal Studios Hollywood.
You know, as an anxious pet owner, there's nothing scarier than the phrase off the leash. It's a scary thing.
And Vinny's fast too.
I can't do it. Also, like if like he's in a dog park and some other enormous dog is, you know, an aggressive one is off the leash. Now I got to worry about him like tangoing with that person. Vinny's not a fighter.
I like the title.
Okay. I mean, it's fun.
Secret Life of Pets Off the Leash was set to open on March 27th of 2020 with annual pass previews beginning on March 14th, but 2020 would do its 2020 thing and Universal Studios Hollywood would close down on March 14th of that year and remain closed for over a year.
I remember that distinctly because we were panicking over here at Watcher as the world started to shut down. I think March 13th.
You guys were just starting.
We had just launched the company. I recall March 13th that weekend. I think that was Friday the 13th, wasn't it?
Maybe.
Anyways, that weekend, I remember that was the weekend where everybody collectively, it feels like, at least in the United States, was like, uh-oh, this might be a long haul. I just remember packing up tripods and thinking like, okay, and some folks at Watcher were like, well, we'll be back here maybe in a month or something. And I was like, no, I think it's going to be a long time. I think we might be locked up for a while. And we were. Anyways.
It was a Friday.
It was Friday the 13th. That's why it's burned into my brain.
Wow.
Anyways, well, fun things to talk about in our review of Slop.
Hey, it only gets better because the attraction would finally debut on April 15th of 2021 as part of an annual pass holder bonus day prior to opening with the reopened Universal Studios Hollywood Park the following day. It would open with a unique virtual queue system, which is now used rather sparingly, if ever, here in 2024. Actually, that may still be used a bit.
They still use it, but it was implemented mainly just for COVID procedures. Actually, you could still see the COVID lines, I think, on the floor of like maintain your distance of 6 feet.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe they've taken them out since, but I did appreciate that back in the day.
Interesting that it's still the only ride that really uses it, though. It's a neat system.
It isn't. It's I'm kind of torn on virtual queues. They're confusing sometimes, but if you know how to use them, they could be good. They could also clog up the rest of the park, though.
Fair. With that being said, with the virtual queue, this leads me to believe that the all-time average wait time for this ride via thrillldata.com may or may not be accurate. But do you want to guess what they've got?
Oh, this has to be 45 minutes.
See, that's what I would have guessed something in that ballpark. It's at 13 minutes.
What?
Which means that I feel like a lot of that is swayed by the virtual queue.
That could be correct. I remember when this first opened, though, it did have some long lines. Worth it, but it did have long lines. Interesting. 13 minutes.
Like I'll see it like much shorter on weekdays, but I'm like, you still are going to end up waiting like 20 minutes.
I'm going to call bullshit. I mean, frankly, the queue is so fantastic for this ride. I wouldn't mind waiting, which we'll get into more later. But does that do it for the history?
It's a very short history.
Oh, nice. Nice and sweet. Let's get on to some fun facts. But before we do that, let's toss to our sponsors and thank them for sponsoring this show. All this imagining what my donkey does when I'm gone makes me want to never leave the house.
Well, you don't have to, especially with HelloFresh. They send you farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. No trips to the grocery store because you can count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. With America's #1 meal kit, you never have to leave Vinny again.
Oh, thank God. I'm tired of crying when I walk in the door.
Ditch the meal planning woes and dive into HelloFresh's biggest menu yet, with over 50 recipes and even more market items to choose from every single week.
You know what I love about HelloFresh? It's that it's not only are we spending less time at the grocery store, we're spending less time in the kitchen because of HelloFresh's quick and easy recipes. Every week's menu features options that are ready in just 20 minutes or less. That's even quicker than delivery and gives me more puppy time.
Absolutely. And guess what? It gets even better. When you sign up today, you'll unlock free appetizers for life. Get the party started or enjoy a little pre-dinner treat with an appetizer of your choice in every HelloFresh box for free.
What?
For free. And you may have heard us talking about Green Chef before. Green Chef is now owned by HelloFresh. And with a wider array of meal plans to choose from, there's something for everyone. I love switching between brands, and now our listeners can enjoy both brands at a discount with us. They just can't stop bringing us pre-portioned great meals. To get yours, go to HelloFresh.com/FYA apps for free appetizers for life. One appetizer item per box while the subscription is active. That's free appetizers for life at HelloFresh.com/FYA apps. That's FYAAPPS.
That's correct. That spelling works out for me too. And we are back. Let's get to some fun facts. The ride, and honestly, like you with the history, really hard to find fun facts for this ride. This ride is really an enigma.
Under the radar.
Really tough to find anything. I can't believe it. It deserves better. Anyways, I did scrounge up some here, though. The ride is approximately 5 minutes long with an unknown slow speed, which I enjoy because then you get to take in all of the amazingness. There are 64 animatronic figures on this ride. And I think that also is inclusive of the queue itself. That is a lot.
Pretty good.
And they're all adorable. That's a bonus. On that note, here's John Corfino, the creative director of Universal Creative. Quote, stereotypically, a lot of people tend to think of art attractions as media-based or a projection. Which we just mentioned, i.e., there it is. That's him admitting we do screen rides. Here's the quote continued. This ride, and I added ride, this is not one of those. I say this a little tongue-in-cheek, but if you're a pet lover, it's the only unconditional love you get, so you really want to see the physicality of it. You want to see the charm. This is all about the heartstrings, and it's touching on that on a heartfelt level. The best way to do that was to work with a different set of tools. In this case, a very physical set of tools. This is something we haven't done a lot. You can take a look at our rides and attractions, and we don't really have 64 animated characters that you're that close to. Yet, you want to pet these. You want to be around them. End quote. So this is basically straight from the horse's mouth what we were saying. This is a course correction. And they're like, let's just toss 64 adorable, cute animatronics at everybody and then see what they say.
We want this to go into the history books as the great projection correction of 2021.
That is great. The projection correction. And it doesn't get the credit. A lot of people align that with, like your Velocicoasters and, your Hagrids. But let's get some justice for Slop. Because I think that
a dark ride.
It's a dark ride. It started the charge of better things to come in Universal Studios Hollywood for sure, and I think Universal at large. So pour one out for Slop. I guess not pour one out, it's still here, but pour one out for the lack of coverage it's getting. There's a total of 9 rooms, plus hallways that make up the apartment queue. More on that later. This queue is fantastic. And this is a smaller fun facts section, but boy, am I packing this to the gills in the good and the bad. More so the good. Universal developed gesture tracking technology to digitally transform guests into 15 different types of puppies. Technology that even recognizes when you're smiling. That sounds creepy, but it's basically if you smile, the dog will smile. If you do you bow your head, then the dog will do a funny little bow and, its tail will wag and stuff like that. There's a lot of fun animations, but they developed this technology for this ride. And the puppy that you are chosen to be remains the same from the beginning to the end. You see what puppy you are in the beginning of the ride, and you remain that puppy for the remainder of the ride. It's fun. They initially toyed with the idea of morphing guests' faces together with that of puppies, but rightfully decided that would be creepy AF. There's no way anyone wants to see that uncanny shit. So I'm glad that they stuck with it just being what it is. The ride vehicles come in 6 different types of boxes that you would find in NYC, like a pizza box or something like that. Super cute. Snowball, the little bunny, not only interacts, Snowball the bunny, voiced by Kevin Hart, not only interacts with guests in the queue, but a live actor version of him also interacts with guests outside the queue on the balcony of one of the NYC buildings across from the attraction.
What's going on, fam? Is everybody doing all right? A happy Taco Tuesday to everybody. Oh, he's got the camera out! Thought he's gonna catch me slipping. I don't slip for nothing.
I don't know if this is as prevalent today. I've only seen the Snowball animatronic, I guess you want to call that, or maybe puppet actor, kind of like the one they have with Donkey over by Shrek. I've only seen this once, so I don't know how often this is happening, but it is a treat when you do see it. The actor does a great job. Next fun fact, there are some mail slots on the apartment doors that you could actually look through, and you could see scenes of what pets do when their owners are away, which is very fascinating for me. One would call it the secret life of pets. Many of the shop names in the ride are tributes to Universal team members, and one tailor shop is named after Illumination CEO and founder Chris Meledandri's father, which is nice. Nice little touch. Make sure to check for the air conditioning grates in the apartments to see our favorite little guy, Byron, the hamster, that is. Not Byron Marin, going full Bruce Willis Die Hard, but a little hamster that's in these grates. And it's unfortunate because it would be just as funny to see Byron Marin poke his head out of a steel grate. Hey, you guys enjoying slop? Make sure it passes the world-class test. Bye-bye. You can also see the hamster Byron in the Out of Order elevator, and that one is actually an animatronic, which is really fun.
Hey, puppy! Any of you know what floor this is? I'm trying to get back to my apartment.
There are hidden minions in the ride, one at the load zone in the form of golf head covers, another after the ball pit on the right-hand side as cat carriers, and finally, in the party scene, Mel the dog is dressed up like a minion. Very funny. The original voice cast also all reprised their roles for this ride, which is rare. It's a fun property. Why wouldn't you want to do this? And we're back. Thank you for sponsoring the show. Let's get into that good and the bad. What are the good and bad things about this ride? Let's start with the good. Really cool facade and surrounding New York City area outside of this building. They did a really good job of making a version of NYC that's within the universe of Secret Life of Pets, not like something you would see on the back lot over in the tram. I really appreciate that. And it's really nice. The facade is impressive. It looks like an apartment building. And to my surprise, when we walked in, it is pretty much a fully realized apartment building complete with stairs, 9 different apartments, and AKA show scenes that you get to walk through in this queue. It's up there in one of the most clever ways I've ever seen a queue implement switchbacks. Because these apartment rooms are essentially switchbacks. You just don't notice it because the switchbacks that you are weaving around, instead of them being railings, they're pieces of furniture. They're little dog gates that you put up in your apartment or your house to prevent a dog from going to a certain area.
It all feels like it's supposed to be there.
They're kitchen counters. Everything feels in place, and yet it's accomplishing the logistical problem of getting people to move back and forth in a room. Very, very clever. The mail slots that you could peek through that we mentioned in the fun facts are an incredibly cute little touch that I enjoy. In one of them, you can actually look through the mail slot and see a poodle headbanging to metal music when the owner is not home. The Secret Life of Pets. Because, what do these guys be doing when I'm gone? I wonder this often with Vinny. What is he doing when I'm not there? And this ride is just a way for me to see that fully realized. I'd like to imagine he listens to music, but in reality, I think he's just sleeping in a puddle of his own drool.
He's humping his lamb.
He does have a little lamb chop that he enjoys humping quite a bit. I have to say, it's disturbing. Love seeing Byron. Once again, the hamster, not Byron Marin. I do love seeing Byron Marin.
Oh, thanks, man.
But the hamster in particular, I do like seeing this guy. He's actually the first fuzzy little animatronic you see in the elevator that's out of order. And it's out of order because Byron the hamster is chewing on them little wires. He's a funny little hamster. I love seeing him. He's a great character design. He's so cute. In fact, most of these rooms have some characters or interactive elements. And I'm not talking like cheap ones like you would see like Q videos or something like that. There is one Q video, but that's also very well done. But I'm talking about legit show scenes and animatronics that you get to walk through and watch. So let's go through some of those animatronics that are in just the queue. First up, we got Buddy the Dachshund, which, by the way, if you're watching the video version of this, you'll see that I'm wearing a Dachshund shirt. One of my favorite dogs out there. Top 5 dog for me. If you saw the top 5 beatdown episode of me talking about dogs, of course, number 1 is now the Vinny Man.
The doodle.
The doodle. I mean, I think he's a doodle. He's a rescue, so we're not really sure, but he might be more golden. I don't know what he is. He's the Vinny Man. That's what he is. But Buddy the Dachshund is this really funny, long dachshund that's in this film and is in this ride. And you see him in the queue. He's giving himself a back massage using the cake batter mixer.
It's so good.
It's incredible. And it's like, it's inside of a fully fleshed out apartment kitchen, and it feels like a real kitchen. So when you see a dog on the counter giving himself a back massage, it does feel like you're kind of peeking in at the secret life. And he's got this really funny massage face on. Like his eyes are kind of rolling.
Yeah.
The sausage man, he's loving it.
That was the first moment like in the queue where I was like, I fucking love this.
This is so good.
I'm really digging this.
Everyone points at it and goes, look at that little sausage guy. He's loving it. His eyes are rolling back. His tongue is out. This guy's my favorite. He's my favorite in the film because I just love the character design of a very, very long wiener dog. Max, the Jack Russell Terrier, and Duke, the giant mutt, are seen chilling in Katie's apartment, playing Jenga made out of dog biscuits.
Whoa, whoa!
I'm gonna win.
Oh, this is too stressful. Can't we play biscuit checkers or tic-tac-bone?
Though Duke does say he would prefer playing tic-tac-bone, which is something he does say. It's very cute. These are the 2 main characters of the film, and the Duke animatronic in particular in this room is incredibly impressive and super engaging.
Wow! It's like a never-ending stream of puppies!
Are we sure these aren't just the same puppies from before?
No way!
I'm saying we can't tell. It's not like they have collars.
That means they don't have homes!
I actually find myself sitting in this room just to watch them talk to each other because they are different versions of the scene that plays out in front of you. So I sat and I watched a bunch of them. I like the tic-tac-bone one. It's just incredible stuff. Like, how often are you being like, I'm going to spend extra time in this queue so I could watch this play out and watch this really fun animatronic. The Duke animatronic is huge. Very fluffy. Love the Snowball the Bunny animatronic, which is in a children's bedroom. He's walking up and down a headboard, pacing, giving you
the war room.
The war room. He's giving you marching orders about how to get adopted. So they're seeding, the story. In fact, in the Max and Duke room, there's actually a part where they say, "You guys got to get adopted." Snowball's over in the next room. He loves helping out, strays or possible adoptees.
Well, maybe Snowball could help them get adopted.
Yeah, he does this kind of thing all the time.
And it usually works out fine.
So go to the next room. He's there waiting for you to give you some orders. And then this is the room where you see the Snowball the Bunny animatronic walking. It appears to be walking on a head frame. And it's really, really funny. And he appears to also be engaging with the crowd. Now, these are just pre-recorded lines, but it's stuff like, "Hey, you, I see you right there in the blue shirt. Yeah. You're, and then he'll say funny little lines. Multiple iterations. I don't think I've ever seen this animatronic loop. That's how many iterations of
yeah, and you're kind of going through there pretty quick, almost too quick, I feel like at times.
This is the only queue other than maybe Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway where I'm like, damn, I wish I had a little more time in this queue to, appreciate this apartment. In fact, one of the rooms has like a video screen where you're seeing Pop the Basset Hound giving training to puppies.
Oh, that's right. Where it looks like it's kind of like on their version of like a YouTube or something.
Yeah, it's like dog tube.
Now it's time to discuss a very serious topic. Poop. Nothing funny about poop, especially at my age.
And there's like a little furniture that's, it's acrylic hard. It's like plastic. It's kind of like the furniture that's in Mickey's house. But
Yeah.
I actually have sat there to watch Pop the Basset Hound give this little spiel because it's funny. And then you also, like I said, do see that funny little hamster Byron in an air conditioning grate. There's actually a bunch of air conditioning grates throughout the queue, and he appears in them. This is a screen, but it is behind a physical grate. So it does give that little extra sauce. And because he's so hilarious, I don't even mind it. And at one scene, he's talking about one of the Byron scenes. He's talking about the quandary of choice in life.
It's like, should I go down that tunnel to the left? Or should I go to the right? The world is full of so many mysteries.
It's really funny. And like I said, it's behind a practical grate, which does give the screen some dimension. And that's something they use to great effect in this ride. More on that in a bit. Also, all these apartments are filled with paraphernalia. Just little Easter eggs from the universe, like dog biscuits. Buddy the Dachshund has a hot dog-shaped dog bed, which is very, very funny. Posters from around the town in this universe, things on the bookshelves. Just take a look around when you're in the queue. It's a feast for your eyes. And it shows that plenty of care went into making this queue. But enough about the queue. We haven't even talked about the ride yet. Let's get into this ride. Like I said, you see yourself as a puppy right from the beginning. That establishes the story that you are a puppy waiting to be adopted. Nice. The first scene, the first showroom, is an outdoor New York City area, and it is beautiful. It's huge, and it's not photorealistic New York City, like I mentioned.
Could we actually rewind back to the loading?
Oh, yeah. Let's go back to the loading.
Because I think it actually took me, because you go through it so fast that it took me multiple times to kind of connect this.
Yeah.
Where Captain Snowball is essentially
I forgot his name was Captain.
the captain.
Yeah.
Voiced by Kevin Hart. He's like pointing at some like awful looking drawing of like his plan.
Yeah, yeah.
And I guess the idea is that chime off in the comments if I got this wrong, but essentially they're attempting to sneak you into a cardboard box and ship you out of the mailroom to make it to
the adoption.
the pet store for the adoption day.
Yeah.
That's me. That's you. That's the pet store. Now I made it my personal mission to get all of you stray puppy dogs adopted, and I will not let you down. And then I'm gonna frame this because this is a work of art. Now keep going this way. We're gonna sneak through the building storage area. If anyone discovers you, it's all over.
And so when you get to the loading area, I noticed it is a legitimate like apartment, like mail
Room.
shipping room.
Oh, yes, that makes sense.
Because at first I'm like, why the fuck are we getting in this cardboard box? I don't understand it.
No, that's really good.
And it turns out that like Captain Snowball's attempting to sneak you into a cardboard box.
He's trying to Trojan horse us into an adoption day.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's really cute. I never even noticed that. I like that. But yeah, once you're in that box, you're in this New York room, and it's not photorealistic New York, but it's New York proper from the universe, which is really cool. And you can see that represented in the architecture and also the colors and the storefronts. It's really beautiful. And like I said, I've said it multiple times, a feast for the eyes. And it's right at the beginning of the ride. They hit you early. They let you know this is not going to be a screen-based attraction. This is going to be a universe that you are stepping into with the funny little pets. And speaking of the funny little pets, there are so many of them doing really hilarious physical gags, and they're everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's something to see. I see a new one every time I go on this ride. We got pets on the construction high beams. We got Buddy the Dachshund with his long ass, goofy canine kielbasa body hanging out of a window. It's really good. Pop the Basset. He's operating an excavator. Snowball the Bunny is in a pet helicopter.
Dude, that thing is so cool.
It's so funny. There's a dog doing upward dog outside a yoga studio named Downward Dog Yoga. Mel the Pug, he's ravaging an unwatched hot dog stand, going to town on that bad boy on hot dog links. There's a dog stuck in a fence because he won't drop a stick. And, I could keep going on, but just get on this ride.
You have, like, You will not be able to take it all in on the first go.
And because it's going so slow, you really get to take it all in. And when my nephews went on this ride, they were having the time of their life.
Even if you're going slow though, I feel like it demands multiple rides.
Like if this ride was a walkthrough attraction through and through, I wouldn't even be mad at it because I'd just be like, this is so incredible.
It's a real spectacle.
And that takes us to the next room, which is a masterpiece. Cat Alley.
Oh man.
Jesus Christ, this room kicks ass. It's so good. There's a cute cat that looks like it's giving you the puppy eyes, the cat eyes, the kitty cat eyes, and then its face changes. The animatronic face changes and it turns vicious. And the lighting changes and there's a strobe light.
It's a beautiful effect.
It actually scared my nephews, which is fun. And then from there, it sets up the scenario where you're in this alleyway and you're just getting terrorized by all these murderous stray cats, like they are in the film, in this darkly lit alleyway that's beautiful. Kudos to whoever designed this alleyway. It looks like an alleyway that would be in a seedy part of New York. You got the clotheslines hanging between like the apartments, kind of looking like Into the Heights, except the evil version. And it's really, really nice. And
now, across the board, are cats perceived as like the villains in this film?
In this particular film, they are, but there is a house cat that's also part of the friendlies. It's just these stray cats that are the ones that are just maniacal. One in particular we have to discuss because there's cats everywhere. They're up above, they're hanging, they're on top of trash cans, they're all looking at you. And then there's one cat animatronic, which is one of my favorite animatronics I've ever seen. And it's of a cat. He's like lightly and menacingly walking over a broken piano. So you just hear his little footsteps like ding, ding, ding. It's really, really funny. And he's mad dogging you the entire time he's doing that too. And then we see them, basically these stray cats. There's a scene of them torturing Max, the lead of the film, the lead of the ride. He's the Jack Russell Terrier. They have him strung up.
No. Okay, good one, guys.
They look like they're about to perform the Braveheart treatment.
Yeah, well, they're dumping him into like what looks like a water barrel. They're basically waterboarding Max, the Jack Russell Terrier. They have him strung up by clotheslines that people are using to dry their clothes. Really funny, and there's some cats like hanging and like swinging around from like the clothes. They're just having a great time torturing this Jack Russell Terrier. It's demented. I love it. Again, the lighting and atmosphere in this alley, 10 out of 10. Bravo to the creative team here. Then following that, we go through a fireworks scene. This is not my favorite. We'll save that for the bad. It's like the one bad I have of this. But we do get to see at the end of that, my favorite guy, the Wiener Man. He's blowing out a fire on his tail. A tail that's obviously way too far from his little head because he's a long ass wiener dog. And then the next good we have is Snowball. He's got a towel on his head. Cucumber slices over his eyes because they're in the pet grooming scene. There's a scene where you go into like a pet grooming shop and they get you all bathed and groomed up and ready to go to be adopted.
Ooh, you guys are not going to get adopted looking like that. Buddy, it's cleaned up first.
Yeah, you can see a funny scene of a cat getting stuck in one of the grooming machines. You see, all these guys having a good time, and also some interactive elements like the hair dryer blowing on you and some wetness happening.
It's very therapeutic.
It's good. It feels like you're getting groomed. Up above, you see our funny little wiener dog guy stuck on one of the pipes, but his like whole body's like wrapped around it like Christmas lights. It's really good. That's rotating. It's an awesome scene. And then we go to the party scene. After, of course, the adoption scene, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But the party scene's fun. All the pets are dancing, having a party in an apartment building. We see Byron the hamster standing on a magic 8-ball. He's holding a glow stick that looks huge in his hands.
Byron knows how to party.
Because he's a tiny little hamster. Yeah, that's pretty much me walking through all the scenes I liked and all the things I liked. But here's some just general goods. All the screens used in this ride, for the most part, are supplemented with real physical objects. The screens provide the background setting rather than being the sole focus where everything is just projected on the screen, like, say, Transformers. Sometimes they have physical elements, but sometimes you're just literally looking at a giant screen, or the entirety of The Simpsons, or even some scenes like the domes that you have in Forbidden Journey. Basically, I'm saying that Slop rules supreme and is a better ride than Forbidden Journey. Am I kidding?
That's a tall mountain to climb. That got a 9 out of 10.
Am I kidding? I don't even know if I'm kidding. Am I kidding? I said that as a joke, but maybe I'm not joking. And I said this before. You do not need to know the universe to enjoy this ride. if you like pets, you're going to like this ride. The story's very easy to understand. And even if you don't understand the story, the vignettes and the scenes that you see are so pleasurable and cute that it doesn't even matter. I think this ride's going to have some real staying power.
Yeah.
So it was a smart move. Do you have any other good stat here?
I mean, you don't like that they launch you out of there with a firework?
I just here. Look, okay. Maybe you tell me why you like it, and I'll tell you why I don't like it.
I think the room looks beautiful. I think I know you're probably going to say something of, oh, there's too much screens in the background and stuff.
Indeed.
I think they mesh it together pretty well. I think they use enough good practical lights. I like the element of Captain Snowball basically performing an audible and being like, all right, fuck it. Like, we're going to attach a fucking firecracker to you.
Yeah.
And we're going to shoot you off to that pet store.
Exactly.
I love the chaos of it. You need some sort of big climactic scene.
Yeah.
That goes on. Although it kind of feels like it's in the middle because it's like.
Here's my thing. You're right. I don't like the giant screen. It feels like a little.
You don't think there's enough good practical stuff in the foreground, though, that complements it?
There's boxes of fireworks in front of it. There's actually a Max and a Duke animatronic kind of like clinging to a firework that's moving up and down. And there is that funny little buddy of the dachshund blowing his tail out. But other than that, the screen is huge. Like, it's a big ass screen, and it's not convincing that it's not a screen, because the screen is portraying Snowball being on an out of control rocket flying around. And my biggest gripe with it is we didn't even need that. Like, you could have just had the animatronic of Max and Duke on a rocket and like lighting to portray like, oh, it's not going well. And you have the dachshund blowing its tail out. I feel like the size of the screen and how it's used is kind of incongruent with how the rest of the ride is. Like, I don't know if we need it. I guess. It feels, You
don't feel like they weren't like trying to create a showstopper?
I think that's what they were trying to do, but like continue to create showstoppers the way you had been in the ride, like creating that massive New York City room. Like, that's a showstopper. I don't need Snowball flying around on a firework. That's just my opinion, whatever. There is also a funny cat with its head stuck in the rocket, though. That's still funny. I guess we'll get into the bads, my other bads. I'm not really into the seeing yourself as a puppy. I know they created tech to make this, happen. But I don't know if we need it at the beginning of the ride, like, because it just makes me feel like that's going to be what the ride is like when it's not. It's not about the screens.
You are a puppy.
Yeah, I am a puppy. I don't know if I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a Scrooge here. I also don't find it that amusing, but I could be wrong. My nephews liked it, so I might be wrong here. And you end the ride with that as well, or you get close to the end of you seeing yourself as a puppy. And my last bad is, that adoption scene is kind of haunting. TBH.
Why?
There's the scene where you are literally kind of being strafed across a screen, kind of like the end of Haunted Mansion, where you're looking at like a mirror. Instead of looking at a mirror, though, you're looking at a bunch of humans poking at a window saying, oh, they're so cute. They're so cute. And it's just kind of weird. I don't know. It makes me feel strange. I don't like seeing a bunch of humans poke at a window in front of me. I got stuck there once, too. The ride broke down, but the animation continued. And so I just watched a cycle of about 15 minutes of different humans coming to go, look, he's so cute. Ooh, and then like that's.
And then like give you basically say they're adopting you and then leave you.
Exactly. It was weird. I didn't like it. So it might be influenced by that. Honestly, some of these bads, they might not even be bads. They're just personal opinion, which I guess all of these are.
I think the scene's very cute.
Fair enough.
I think kids are going to love it. I still love it. I like the satisfaction of getting adopted by various families.
That's fair.
But then again,
is that plugging a hole inside of you?
Okay, so in the back of my head, there is this thing that also like weighs me back where I'm like, oh, so I guess like if you groom me and you make me look really pretty, that's what matters.
Yeah, it's like the
class. Like, get to know my personality first.
It's like that fucking Disney Channel thinking where it's like, oh, they would look so much better if they just fixed their hair and took the glasses off.
Oh yeah, like that's
like
what I thought. I felt like I was getting my Princess Diaries moment.
Yeah, fair enough. Well,
do you wear the contact lenses?
That's it for my bads. Do you have any bads, Dad?
Oh yeah, I don't think there's enough scenes. Honestly, I think it goes from like as soon as you start the ride, you go into this big New York scene.
Yeah,
and then immediately the next scene is the danger zone.
That's fair.
And it feels like it's like almost closer to the beginning of the ride where I would have rather had the danger zone like 3/4 of the way.
To be fair, though, this is very in line with the Fantasyland dark ride setting, where it's like they skip a lot of plot in those and just in a weird way show you highlight reels. I think that's kind of what this is. And also, Universal does not have a lot of room. So I give them the benefit of the doubt. I think they probably would have wanted to add another scene, but I do find myself wishing there was one more scene too.
Oh, another good I will add, now that we're going off that, is, there's not like that many scenes.
Yeah.
The duration of the ride still feels pretty good, but let's be real. Universal, most of the time when you get a new attraction, they're taking something out.
Yeah.
In this case, I mean, what? We lost your prom venue. I'm sorry.
That's true. We did lose the Globe
But
Theater.
for, the theme park sickos out there, they didn't lose anything.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was private event space.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you.
That's a big win.
Well, I guess that does it for the good and the bad. Let's go ahead and move on to the world-class tests. But before we do that, let's once again take some time to thank our sponsors. And we're back. Let's get back to the world-class test. This is a rubric of 10 tests, painstakingly devised by Byron and myself to determine if an attraction is world-class. To receive the highly coveted world-class pass, the attraction must pass 7 out of 10 tests. A score of 6 out of 10 leaves the attraction up for debate for world-class pass standing, and anything lower than 6 out of 10 is an automatic fail. Starting with the average tourist test. Would the average tourist have a hard time getting on this attraction? Is there a long wait? Is there a complicated queue system?
Not really.
Well, the virtual queue does add a little bit of a wrinkle.
Yeah, because sometimes, often it's advertised as, oh, this runs off a virtual queue.
Yeah.
You see it in the app, like you see it in the signs when you approach the ride. But then a lot of times they close it down, and that could cause confusion. As in, not close down the ride, but close down the virtual queue.
Do you have a bubble in your throat?
Do I? Can you see it?
No, it sounds like you have a bubble in your throat. Your voice kind of sounded like it.
I don't know. Maybe.
No, I was concerned. I was like, is there something blocking your airwaves? Am I
Yeah,
gonna have to
everything
perform?
feels all right. Now
Okay.
I'm self-conscious.
Well, now you sound great.
Cool.
No, they do a virtual queue, but I think they also offer a standby option. And most times I've been on this recently, I've just walked standby, and it's like a 15-minute wait.
Yeah, but they never run them at the same time. It's
No.
one or the other.
Yeah, you're right.
I will say, and I didn't put this in the bad because I was so distracted by all the goods of the ride experience. Those ride vehicles, I don't know. As far as like Omni movers go, like the lap bar, like I'm just like thinking
You
of it in a way
really
of,
hate this lap bar.
yeah, well, think about it this way. This is like Omni mover rides, especially. I don't want to like delve into like Haunted Mansion Disney,
Yeah.
like specifically, and to
Yeah.
make this a Disney versus Universal thing.
Yeah.
But the ride's moving so slow, you
Gotcha.
don't need to strap people into these tight things. Have a little more space. I think the seats for what this ride is are a little unnecessarily small.
Here's the thing.
I do, but here, like on the flip side, I do believe they have a few vehicles that at least allow wheelchairs on, or
Yeah, that's not an uncommon, I guess,
True,
critique,
yeah.
and something they need to fix, and something that I think they have gotten better with to make things accessible for everybody going forward. But in this particular case, here's what I think's happening with you. I think you have such coaster crazies that a lap bar that suggests that there might be a coaster ahead and there's no coaster, you can't take it. Your brain short circuits and you're like, wait a second.
It is true. There's something that's unlocked when that lap bar comes down. I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, goody! Like,
I like how you tried to spin it like, well,
But
let's
it's
have a little
true.
more room,
It did
Universal.
piss- no, but
when
it
in
did-
reality,
it
you're
did
like, where's my
remind me-
roller coaster?
But it did remind me for what this ride is. I get that, like some rides, especially if they're flipping you upside down and doing this crazy shit. There's sometimes, yeah, I can understand the limitations of why they have to be extra safe. This thing's going like 1 mile per hour.
Now consider this though. Here's another counterpoint. Because there's so many cute little fuzzy animatronics on here, there probably would be the threat of a bunch of kids jumping out of this thing. And I've seen them, I'm not going to I'm not a parent, but I'm going to say that like I've seen videos of kids doing crazy shit on rides before. And maybe this is a case of them trying to stop that before it even happens.
Okay,
And that way you don't get somebody hopping out of a small world boat and showing their pee-pee to everybody.
look, I just had to have my little vent.
Yeah.
I'm still pissed about the ride vehicles and the lap bars.
That's
Even-
fair, man.
Overall, in regards to average tourist test, I think it's a pass. It is pretty easy to get on.
I think so too. That's a pass. Let's move on to test number 2. Test number 2, the Leslie Stahl test. Would you be willing to wait 60 minutes for this attraction if you've already been on it at least once? Or if everything in the park was 60, Would you wait for this?
Damn it. That's actually really tough.
Yes, this is very tough for me as well. It's incredibly tough. And here's why it's tough for me. I think the ride is really great. I don't know if it's 60 minutes great, but at the same time, some of that 60 minutes is going to be occupied by me being in the queue, which rules.
That's why I'm thinking like a 30-minute perfection. A 60-minute, I'm probably waiting through stuff I don't want to.
I don't think this ride is worth 60 minutes, but that's
Me
not to
neither.
say I don't know many dark rides other than if you consider Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway a dark ride, then that I would say is worth 60.
Yeah.
But other than that, Spider-Man? Matt Rial is doing a Spider-Man hand motion.
Spider-Man rule.
Spider-Man does rule.
Spider-Man does kick ass. Would I wait 60 for it though? I don't know. We'll get to that when we cover that ride, but I will say that ride is amazing. And I will also say that ride is almost always 5 minutes now, which is insane to me.
It's a sweet deal. But for this one, I don't know. I think I'm going to fail it as well.
I feel bad for failing this, but I'm going to fail it.
Yeah.
The smartphone test number 3. We're at 1 for 2. Does the queue of this ride have enough to keep you off of your phone? Oh, absolutely. This is a shining pass.
Yes.
For how much the wait is usually 20 to 30 minutes, maybe apparently less, 13 minutes. You're wanting more time. I'm standing extra time in the queue to see some of the elements in here. So this is a clear pass for me.
Yeah. I think in terms of Universal Hollywood, at least attractions, maybe Forbidden Journey and Mario Kart are the only challengers for best queue in the park.
I would say definitely not Mario Kart. I think it's a good
I would think
queue.
it'd be between Forbidden Journey and this.
Which is crazy because if you were like to tell an outsider, like, what are the best themed immersive queues in Universal? You would probably take a stab at like, oh, obviously Harry Potter. And yeah, Mario Kart because it's in Super Mario World.
Which we could discuss in the Mario Kart episode.
That's true.
But
this I think is better.
It's an excellent queue.
Between this and Forbidden Journey, you probably give it to Forbidden Journey just because of the scale. But
yeah,
I think this is, I enjoy this one a little bit more because I think it's cuter.
It's very cute.
All right, moving on to test number 4. That's 2 for 3. That's a pass. Test number 4, the Tony Stark test. How innovative is this attraction? Does it push theme park tech forward?
Well, you did say that they developed some tech, right?
Yeah, but it's not exactly fun tech.
I know it's not your favorite part of the ride. I like it.
Yeah, but
I like it doing the facial,
they said they developed
expression.
it, but it's like not anything completely new. Like you saw this even in Tower of Terror when you see yourself reflected back.
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't experience this on the ride and be like, wow, that's never been done before.
No, I saw that. I was like, okay, I've seen this done before, but this is cute. I'm a puppy.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I guess it uses a lot of neat tech, but most of it's already been done before.
Exactly. And even if we're in the example of them puppifying us, that is just still kind of plussing something that was already there, if you want to call it plussing.
Yeah.
I think this might be a fail, unfortunately.
I think it's a fail as well.
This sucks.
Is it 1 for 3?
That's 2 for 4. 2 for 4. Test number 5, the Hollywood test. Can this attraction be adapted for the silver screen? Does it have a comprehensible story? Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it does. It's based off a film. You're trying to get adopted. That's very clear.
You are a dog.
Yeah.
You're a dog without a collar. Your doggy friends in the apartment complex, or maybe they're not your friends yet. They just know, hey, you don't have a collar. We got to get you adopted.
I just realized that the only thing that would make me like that adoption scene is if instead of just having CGI people, like the animated people be like, oh, I want to adopt you. They should just repurpose all of those screens to play exclusively that one TikTok of that little girl going, can I pet that dog? Can I pet that dog? Can I pet that dog? He just a baby dog. If that was there at the end, then that's 10 out of 10.
Yeah, so the setup is great for the story. You go on a series of misadventures through the city, and then you ultimately get the payoff of getting adopted.
And it's all set up in the queue.
I got a cool idea.
What?
Sorry. I know I'm really pretty quiet on this show, but what if that screen with those people were the queue and they were seeing the dogified version of the rider?
Oh shit, that's actually
So you're
a
actually
really
being
good
watched
idea.
by the queue.
Yeah, because there are queues in the world that you see things like the launch. Like for example, in Tron, you see a launch. In Velocicoaster, you see a launch. You see people on the ride. Seeing dog versions of people is really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
then
could
you're watching them look at you as a dog.
you could watch his dad scratching his butt.
Yeah, that's the one thing that you would be really asking for kids on the ride to see some jokester mooning you.
True.
You can't trust people. See, that's actually a very pure idea, Matt. But then you forget that
The world we
live in is not pure at all, and unfortunately, sometimes theme parks attract a certain type of person that would be like
us.
Wouldn't it be funny to put my thumb through my zipper so it looks like my pee-pee? You know who did that? Shane Madej.
That's right. The people mover.
The people. He put a press. He put a press.
This is less funny, but they released that Megan doll.
Yeah.
They released a 1-for-1 size version.
That's
I was like, oh, that's fun. That's cool. And then someone else was like,
it's not.
It's not cool.
Yeah.
No,
it's
like, no, that's scary.
Right.
No, it's not.
That's awful.
No bueno.
No good. All right, that's a pass. 3 for 5. Moving forward. Okay, 3 for 5. I could live with that. Test number 6, the Simpson test. How likely is this to be replaced with something new? This is interesting because I do think this is going to age beautifully. I don't think the IP is ever really going to matter that much. I think it's one of the few family rides they have at the park. And if they were to get rid of this, they would have to knock it down and replace it with another family ride. At the same time, they shuffle IP all the time, and they may not realize that no one cares about the IP in this particular ride because they just like dogs and cats. I think I'm going to pass it.
Okay, so I have a couple reasons why I would pass it as well.
Okay.
So one of the reasons being, it is a franchise now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they made more of them, honestly.
Yeah.
I think they've made a shit ton of money. And even if not, like pets, animals, like it's universal. And then on top of that, let's like add a third in there. The space that it's located in. I think this ride takes place like on a second floor. I can't imagine it takes that much space. So if they were to replace it with something, it couldn't be like some big gangbuster attraction.
The thing is, Despicable Me is a much more successful franchise, though this did gross a fair amount. This is $1 billion franchise.
Well, they already did Despicable Me.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
It does suck.
And it's right next to it.
That's what I'm saying, but if they have to choose between the two.
Yeah, Gru's going to come over and like tear it down and build Villain Con.
No, I think what's happening is like they clearly have turned this part of the park into Illumination Land for the most part.
Yeah.
And that's fine. If it preserves Secret Life of Pets, then I'm good with it. So they would have to change the whole land itself. And I think we're talking decades in the future at that point. So I actually think this is going to stay. I'm willing to pass it.
I think it's a pass.
Fair enough. 4 for 6. Moving on to test 7, the signature moment test. Can the ride hold its own without its signature moment? Is it a one-trick pony? What would be the signature moment for this? I think Cat Alley for me is the signature moment.
Dog's got a lot of tricks.
Yeah, it's this there, and then, or you could say even the big New York City room with all the gags.
I love seeing Captain Snowball flying around with the drone. I always think that's a good moment.
This is how you have a character attached to a drone, Universal.
Yeah.
Not Vin Diesel. You put Captain Snowball on that bad boy, I'm all in.
All about it. And well, I mean, there's also like some people think the signature moment is the being adopted.
Yeah, I'm sure. There's a lot. There's a lot of fun
the party
gags
at the end.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on and enough variety that I don't think this ever really feels like every room I've seen in this ride looks the same. I think this is a pass.
Pass.
Nice. 5 for 7. Moving forward, and let's take one more break to thank our sponsors, and we'll be back with the last 3 tests. And we are back. Moving on to test number 8, the premature detraculation test. Does this ride finish too soon?
I'm kind of torn, honestly.
Yeah, I know. You already said you're on the record.
It's 5 minutes long, which is a decent length for a dark ride.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of pretzel dark rides have like much faster pacing and get done in like 1.5 to 2 minutes, like the Fantasyland ones. 5 minutes, I just think it feels too short in the sense that there's just not enough scenes.
You already said in this pod that you wish there was one more scene. I agreed with you, but I could also say that like leaves me wanting more. I think 5 minutes is a long time, and when you combine that with the queue, that's even more so. More stuff that you get. Like I think the full experience, I still leave very satisfied.
Duration wise, I don't leave feeling like that was a short ride.
Yeah, I think what you're getting at is more the transition between the silly room and then the room of peril.
Yeah, I just think the scenes are played out very long, but there's not many of them.
Yeah, but I still don't think that makes me feel like I got cheated. Like I always walk off thinking like that was really fun.
Yeah, I don't know. Can we go 0.5? Can I just say no?
You could say no if you'd like. I'm going to pass it because I do think it's a satisfying experience through and through. I do wish there was one more scene, but that also could be just me wanting a little bit more.
Fair.
All right. You're going to be that guy.
I'm going to be that guy.
You're going to be that guy. That's crazy, man. That's
It's tough. It's tough.
History will not look at you kindly. 5.5. 5.5 out of 8. Thank you, Byron. Test number. Don't smile like that.
Hey, I'm probably the one punching that decimal in.
Yeah, yeah, you are. The test number 9. The exit hall. The test number 9, the exit hall test. Do you see people be physically excited getting off of this ride? Do they have that bounce in their step? No, come on now.
What?
People are stoked when they get off this ride, especially the kids.
You know what?
And if you have kids and your kids are stoked, I could only say this just from even a fraction of that experience taking my nephews, but they were loving this ride.
You know what? There is a very upbeat energy that I do take into the rest of my day when I get off this ride.
Because you're ending with that party scene.
Yeah, the party scene.
They pop songed you.
Yeah, you made the cut.
Yeah, they pull that rom-com brain trick, that Jedi mind trick that rom-coms do, where they play a pop song over the credits and makes you feel like you had a good time at the movies, even if the film sucked.
Yeah, I mean, especially compared to a lot of other Universal attractions, especially in this park, I usually feel like I leave this ride with the best mood.
I agree, and I will say, I want to clarify, this is not one of those rides that Jedi mind tricks you. It's not like they played fucking Hey Soul Sister by Train over a credit sequence, and you're like, oh, this film,
I'm happy I'm alone.
Yeah, or Happy by Pharrell. They earned the poppy ending that I think, and I don't think it's any kind of trick. I do think this is a genuine fun experience for a family to go through.
And you know what? If they added scenes and made this a little longer, it might have worn that off a little bit. There is that risk. So
yeah, well,
if I'm not going to give it there, I'm going to give the pass here. I do get bounce.
Your fucking decimal point. 6.5 out of 9. Moving forward to the last test. This is going to determine whether it's going to be a world-class attraction, undebatably, or if we don't pass it here, we will have to debate it into world-class standing at a score of 6.5. That would be crazy. Test number 10, the fine wine test. Has this attraction aged well? Has your opinion of the attraction appreciated or depreciated since your first experience? Or if it's a new ride, do you believe it will age well? This is a very clear pass to me, and it's a testament to something I've always said on this show. Animatronics, real show scenes, real environments, they always age well. Even if they break down over time. I think we said this in the Jenny Nicholson ET episode. I'd rather see a broken animatronic than a screen that looks poor over time with bad graphics.
And I will say, having been on this a couple months ago, it seems like it's all operating pretty well.
I mean, it's still young in its life, but I will say that I rarely see any kind of broken.
It is young in its life, but I've noticed, for example, Mickey and Minnie.
Yeah, that's true.
That's been out for not as much time as this, and I've noticed over the past year some of that.
And we love that ride. No shade.
I love that ride.
It's episode 1 of this podcast. You could go check
I know.
I think there's a piece of a burrito stuck in my teeth. I've been trying to get it with my tongue in between takes, but I can't get it. And that's whatever. We'll just keep that in the podcast, I guess. No, I think this ride has aged very well. I think all the effects are going to age well because they're practical. And I like this style of storytelling when it comes to rides and in terms of how they executed it. And, apparently Universal does as well. They said it themselves. So
this is a definite pass for me.
This is a pass for me as well.
It's great.
All right. Well, then that puts it at 7.5 out of 10, which means it is a world-class attraction.
Look at that.
Happy to see it. Happy to see it. A clap. Yes.
It's a solid 75%.
Very, very good. I think that's fair. 75 out of 100,
Absolutely. Yeah.
if you want to put it that way, is I think that's incredibly fair. Look, it's not going to wow anybody into thinking this is the most advanced theme park attraction I've ever seen, but I think it's a return to form for Universal.
Absolutely.
Universal.
They needed this ride.
Oh, they
really needed this ride.
I agree. This park in particular, because it's only in Universal Studios Hollywood, needed a family, actual physical environment that you could take your kids into. They did not have that at this park.
Do they have any other dark rides that slowly travel through physical space for families?
No, they do not. Unless
There
you want
it
to
is.
consider that the Mummy, in which is not that, because that
no,
moves
that's
very
not
fast.
family. Yeah,
And it
that's a coaster.
traumatized my nephew.
Yeah, so they really needed this in the spirit of dark rides. I don't like considering
Jurassic World, I guess.
Despicable Me or any Scream-based thing being considered a dark ride.
No, this is a return to form for
In
them.
Jurassic World, once again, not necessarily for the little kiddos.
No, it's not. And I will say too that back in the day when Universal first started making rides, starting with E.T. after the tram, they were doing dark rides, really cool, immersive dark rides, just as good as anybody, if not better. You know, we're talking E.T., Confrontation, Jaws, Disaster, Backdraft. Like these, like, I guess Backdraft, maybe not so much, because that's more of a walkthrough.
But they still they rarely ever hit the family fun fair.
No, they never did, but
Like
E.T.
this.
did. E.T. was like a perfect example of like, this is how
That
you
is,
execute
yeah.
a family dark ride. I think this is kind of like I said, a return to form. So I'm happy to see it. I hope this trend continues. I hope we see more rides like Slop. And I hope that we see more people talking about Slop. Let's get that out there. You can't top Slop. Maybe I'll make a shirt. But anyways, that does it for this episode. What you laughing over there because you're fucking?
No, I think it's a good shirt.
Yeah. That does it for this episode For Your Amusement. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening. If you're watching over at youtube.com/watcherpodcast, go ahead and like and subscribe. And if you are listening, rate and subscribe as well. Rate the podcast 5 stars. It really helps us continue to make this show and discuss important things like Slop. Follow the podcast at FYA Pod across all socials. I'm at Ryan Bergara on everywhere except Twitter, where I'm at Ryan S. Bergara. Byron is at Byron A. Marin everywhere. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Long live Slop.